And nobody appears to be wanting to stop Russia either. They're going for that land grab, making the most of... now, they never took administrative ideas, which would be a great boost. It would really, really go well with their already existing core creation cost. But they are dipping right into Armenia, looking to grab that, whilst at the same time taking out the Uzbek. No competition. Grugi is a great player, and he's been given a very strong nation, even though he had, I think, a 2-session... Yeah, I think for 2 sessions he got beaten up as Lithuania before he was allowed into the seat of Muscovy. But he still made the most of it, and Hungary is not pursuing this line. They've stopped dead short there. And oh my lord. The Golden Horde is still allied with Ulm. They might live long thanks to that. Ulm is being left alone by Austria. They probably don't want to suffer the wrath of taking them on. Now Milan is no longer allied with France. It could be that France is looking to get some of that themselves. We can have a look. In fact, we can have a very intimate look at how that is going. No, they're not fabricating claims. In fact, they've got lazy diplomats. Now, I might sound like I am incredibly biased towards France, and I am. France is being played by Patrick, who in our previous developer multiplayer played as the Mamluks and formed Arabia, and was my best friend from the very start of the game to the very end. We bled together in Greece and Anatolia, and everywhere to all sides of that, as we were constantly attacked, or rather I was constantly attacked, and never once did he decline the call. He came to my aid in every war and said, "Jake, what do we do?" And I said, "I'll be honest, we're gonna die, but we're gonna fight here and here." And we actually won some wars together. It was wonderful. That is what true friendship blossoming on the battlefield is like, because we were united at the very start, just me and him, against the mighty Ottomans. And the Ottomans were an incredibly difficult foe to fight. The Ottomans were played by Grekulf, and that is why I say, when I give our different players EU4 Monarch style ratings, Grekulf is probably the only one that gets the 6 in military. They are extremely good at fighting. Which is why, even though they don't appear to be the biggest and strongest in Europe at the moment, you don't want to be fighting them. Heavens no. Let's take a closer look at their nation and see how they're dealing with it all. Legitimacy looking a little down the toilet there. So it looks like it's a race between civil war and religious turmoil, which is going to fire for them. That said, with a 444, oh my, their Burgundian line has certainly been blessed. Well, actually, it's a de Valois line. I guess Burgundy and France are closer than we may have thought. Benin and Saxe, Luxembourg and Benin? Yeah, okay, sure. Catholic Benin. Still one of the best flags there. Chopping off someone else's head. It's not Permian good, but it's still pretty great. But I digress yet again. We're having a rundown of Burgundy. They're rich, they have fairly large amount of manpower, and they get prestige. I believe they get some from their national ideas as well. Golden Fleece. Defensive quality, see straight away they're going for ideas that make them stronger. And the administrative, because that core creation cost just can't be beat sometimes. Really won over by it. Harlinger in the chat getting right to the point. You have no friends in EU4, only those that will be dealt with later. I did actually draw up plans to go and fight Patrick, but you know, it would be mano a mano. No ganking nonsense. We're being asked, what are the regions in the new world? I'm guessing that's talking about our new, if I can click on the right button here, region system. And I feel that this is bait for me to show how bad I am at pronouncing things, but we have Varanja, Omamig, and Lukatun to the north. We got a good old Capkeep to the south with Rehuanok. And what's nice is the seas showed off as well. So we've got the Numuring Trench, the Sea of Ben Theus, and the Free Water. Oh, free, I like that. America may not be here, but even with them removed, the freedom lives on. Of course we get to see the other ones, the South Atlantic, East Indian Ocean, all those boring real-life areas. North Atlantic, bringing in the cold. Trying to keep my finger on the pulse with all these wars going on, but doesn't appear to be anybody wanting to slice each other up. Speaking of slicing up, that Korean war with Japan, not going quite so hot for you. Let's have a rundown of why. Now Korea actually have Tech 12, which is a massive boon. If this force goes to fight the Japanese, yep, they will win. They should probably invest in a better general for that, but I have a feeling that Japan's days are numbered here. Get out of best Korea. It's Korea or bust. So it looks like it's now or never for turning the war around for Korea. We'll stop back again to see how things are going on for them later on. Meanwhile, our scripting guru Trintragula continuing to dominate over down here in Cap Keep. Did I get it right this time? Cap Keep. Looking to keep it all for themselves. And this is where the period of peace really benefits the colonizers, because they don't have to go to war for their lands. I mean, they can, but it's just shooting natives, really. And this peace really benefits them, since they don't really have to pay too much attention over here. In fact, with so many Spanish forces abroad, now would be the high time for France to go down and destroy. And trust me, I'm poking him to destroy. And one thing I want to check about Spain is how they're doing with the estate system. Since they worked quite a bit on it, we can have a look at how they're doing. Now, unfortunately, they're not... Well, this is the estate system. I may as well introduce it for those of you that have not yet seen it. And just in time, black... My eye's failing me there, but someone from chat is asking to have a look at the estates here. So, if you are uninitiated on this, here's the estate system. You have estates within your country, and they vie for control of your lands, and you also have to bargain with them to gain their loyalty. And these combine to either give you glorious benefits or horrific malices to your country. As long as they are at least lukewarm towards you, they will provide you with bonuses, and the bonuses will depend on their level of influence within the country. And the influence is based on many things, quite a lot of event things happening here, but also the fact that we have a centre of trade, a certain high development city, and yes, the amount of provinces that they control, or rather the amount of total development they control. So the burghers here, for example, have a very hefty amount of control, influence rather, 66%, which means they give a very large bonus or malus, and they're 34% loyal, which is pretty low. It's just high enough to secure the bonus, but if that were to fall below 30, they would start giving a malus instead, and because of their high influence, it would be a pretty large malus. The clergy are in a similar state, but they have even more power and even more control, and the reason this is dangerous is that if influence goes above 80%, you will end up with a ticking disaster, and Spain has no shortage of possible ones. The ones that they would have would be dominance of the clergy. That will start ticking up if their influence is greater than 80, and that will provide a pretty horrific state of affairs for Spain. 20% more expensive technology and idea cost, and because you're dominated by the clergy, they also hate all heretics and heathens to the point that it will cause disruption. So all that Protestant land that they cannot convert, well, they're going to have even more revolts coming from there. So yes, you certainly don't want these guys gaining too much control of your country, since it will weaken you heavily, and to end that you have to curtail them, and curtailing them means reducing their influence quite heavily, and then also taking a decision which also hurts your country. But keeping them in control will leave you with this large malice that you do not want. Of course, that's all fine and well if you have a situation like the nobility. Sure enough, they are powerful, but they have also got a very large loyalty. In fact, 100%, so they're as loyal as can be, meaning they give very large and great bonuses. Since their influence is high, the bonuses are very high. Again, risky though, because let's say an event or a certain allocation of lands were to bump up that influence, we'd be in for perhaps the nastiest of them all, the aristocratic coup. Yeah, you get the trade efficiency loss, the tax, the trade power, that's all nasty. It is very nasty. So yes, we don't want that. The bonuses are lovely to maintain though, and in order to get their influence the most direct way you can do it, and again we can check this over here, we have an estates map mode, and a lot of the land of Spain has been divvied out to these. Now they give minimum autonomy here, but they also give bonuses locally, so we get extra manpower, quite a lot of extra manpower, 50%, and defensiveness as well from the nobility. So a great place to throw that on would be the forts. Well, I say that would be a great place, but it doesn't look like they've actually placed the nobility on the forts. Or maybe I'm just blind. Yeah, me being blind seems about right. There we go. Girona and Roussillon, both in the nobility. Oh, I thought Roussillon was a fort. In any case, Girona is a fort there, and that extra local defensiveness is really going to help if and when France come knocking. They have their other ones as well, the clergy, very good at bringing the unrest down. It is opium for the masses after all. And there are the burghers, naturally interested in making that money, so they've got the trade bonuses going on there. Again, nothing too big going on, although it is sad to see Austria at war with Ulm. Although Ulm put up the best defense they can, I really don't think they're going to defeat them with disease outbreaks alone. So yeah, Spain is riding it a little dangerously here, and they should really be seeking to get that loyalty up, but they've been demanding support. Now what is this demanding support, you ask? Well, there are interactions with your beloved estates, and you may wish to sacrifice some of the loyalty they have by taking some of these. They have different effects and different costs as well. For example, you can ask your lovely rich burghers to supply you with that sweet ducat. 453 a pop here for Spain, which would be lovely, but they lose loyalty, and that loyalty lasts 10 years. Funnily enough, the interaction also has a cooldown of 10 years. So you run the risk, if they were to do it right now, their loyalty would fall to less than 30, which means both development cost and trade efficiency would suffer. We certainly don't want that happening there. Not for poor Spain. There are other bonuses like grabbing a minister, getting yourself an admiral, because getting that navy tradition, we all know it can be difficult, but with this, at the click of a button, you can grab an admiral with 40 tradition. That's not too shabby. If you were really wanting to take on the Royal Navy, you might just want a better admiral, and that's what you do. And the burghers gain influence from that. You might even want them to get influence. If they're very loyal and their influence is very low, you might want them to actually have a bit more so you get better bonuses. Of course, that runs the risk. You don't want to be going over 80%. And there are other such things. You get 5 Cossacks. Of course, that will make them lose loyalty because you're drafting their ships and they're not going to be too happy with that. Charters, but the diplomatic support that they've already asked for, I believe they have demanded support. That gives diplomatic power, and the other two also give. So we have military support. And there was diplomatic, and there's our administrative. So that's a lovely use of your estates, but you will drive down their loyalty, and if you drive that down too far, they're going to start hurting your country. I'm also wondering what Great Britain are doing with their estates. Now they're an English monarchy, so they don't have to bow to the nobility, but it also means they don't get the nobility's bonuses. They've got the burghers and the clergy. Again, keeping that influence high, but not dangerously high. 63 is pretty alright, you could shoulder a bad event there. But giving them much more influence would be dangerous. This is just the right amount to get all those extra bonuses, and this is why Wiz is pretty good in the game. He's very good at balancing out his country, but even better at managing diplomacy. There is nobody in this office quite as good at diplomacy as Wiz, which is why he is so free to expand in these lands and nobody will contest him. He offers deals that work out for everyone, but strangely enough work out best for him. Of course he has the playing ability to back that up. Right, Korea finally fought the Japanese back. But it's the Japanese that are demanding something from them. What was it they wanted? Deren? Seems that Korea's navy is scuttled, so that was divine wind for you, Korea. Alright, let's not miss out on the fight of the century here though. So finally it has come to blows. And how much of a blow are we talking about? Russia is at war with the Ottomans, the Mughals, Iraq and Gizm. It's the Ottoman conquest, so it's the Ottomans that have decided to fire here. But Hungary have the backing of Russia. So it's two giants, Ottomans and Mughals versus Hungary and Russia. And the Mughals were previously allied to Russia, were they not? So what went down there? Well, I'll tell you what's going down. The bodies of the Turks. Yeah. Get back home to Konya. So this is the Ottomans' aggressive war. Mr. Nibbles finally being the one to pull the trigger here. And it is only 20 past 4. We still got 40 minutes of this to run through, if not a touch more. Who's going to come out on top? I'm taking bets now. Now, although things initially going pretty good for Hungary and Russia, I am wanting to back the Mr. Nibbles here. Reason being that he was the one that actually had the gall to pull the trigger. Now, Johann is down there in the Mughals, but he has to keep in mind that Bahmanis could see this as a wonderful opportunity. They're still allied, so it's not like Bahmanis can just drop that alliance and attack instantly without retribution. But just how much are the Mughals willing to invest into this? Oddly enough, keeping their forces rather hang back here. Are you indeed interested in this war, Mughals? Or are you perhaps interested yourself in seeing the Ottomans bleed themselves dry? Hungary's 226 general, oddly enough, being the one to throw the enemy to the ground. The Mughals' slightly underfed and undersupplied task force being sent home. Well, that is little wonder. What do we have here? Hungary already enjoying Tech 15. Whilst the Mughals do not. Now, Tech 15 is amazing. Tactics themselves are great. If you get the tactics advantage, you've almost already won, because it reduces the amount of damage you take in total. But +1 land morale, remember your land morale is also the amount of land morale damage that you deal. So that is fairly huge. So yeah, as a general rundown of military technologies in the war, Ottomans at 15, Hungary at 15, Russia and Mughals both at 14. Now, the Ottomans, they're probably not too worried about which the claims are. They just want to crush Hungary and probably grab Serbia for their victory card. It'd help if I selected the right country here. There we go. So these 4 provinces right here, the Serbian area. If Ottoman secures those, they get their victory card. And that's worth 2,000 points. That is probably more than enough to put them into the lead. We check the score comparison, and remember, we're always playing for score here. Top score, top trophy. Yeah, that would thrust the Ottomans right into first place with plus 2,000. Now it ticks up over the course of 20 years, but as long as they maintain their hold over that land, they will keep those points. Oh, baby. World goes on fire. Let's keep our eyes on this because now Great Britain is the one at war. Austria, France, Burgundy, they're all going for it, safe in the knowledge that Hungary is being preoccupied, if not completely occupied, by the Ottomans. Come on, Mr. Nibbles. Come on, Daniel. Let loose the dogs of war. Actually, I can't even grant the... I can't even award Daniel with this one, because it was Greykulf, attacker in Great Britain in the Burgundian conquest of Calais. Let's have a quick rundown here. Those numbers are fierce. Burgundy is in this for blood. Now it's worth taking a little moment to show off war participation here. Remember that, because we'll come back to it later, but I want to get the rundown of what is going on here. We're looking at, oh me oh my, 250,000 bodies here on the side of the French, Burgundian, Austrian trio of fighting GB and friends. Denmark also in this war. It remains to be seen if Denmark is actually going to lift a finger on this, since we don't see the Danish forces marching down here into the meat grinder. Good going, Burgundy. Now, I mentioned earlier, Greykulf in charge of Burgundy is the one player that I would give a 6 in military for. They know how to fight, they know their way around the battlefield, and if Great Britain were to jump down any troops here into the French region, they would be massacred by the Burgundians. He doesn't have the largest army, probably doesn't even have the strongest army, but he knows how to fight, and he knows how to fight extremely well. So here comes the Royal Navy to suss out the situation, dropping off troops over in Spain. I'm going to switch to full-on observer so we can see everyone around here. There are a large number of forces here, so watch your back there, France. Even though you are backed by the Austrians, there are a lot of them, sire. No doubt pushing into Spain to try and force them out early. Some scare tactics would go a long way here, and perhaps an offer of peace with Spain just to secure the destruction of Great Britain would be very beneficial for the French. It would be very beneficial for the Spanish as well, to cut off the British that they helped so long ago and saw very little from. But then again, never underestimate Wiz's power of diplomacy. That is Wizington over there in Great Britain, and if anyone can show the world that Great Britain is truly a viable nation in multiplayer, it'll be him. There's alliances with Denmark, Portugal and Spain, but he is no doubt checking out what he can do to save himself from this situation. Now, because Great Britain dominate the seas, it's very difficult to just leave small siege forces on these forts. Oh me oh my. And they are large level forts as well, so it would take quite a bit to siege them down. But you can't just leave a small siege force on them, because due to the British supremacy at sea, they can just drop off task forces there. Alright, Mr. Nibbles is really showing them how it's done now, trying to get those forces in there, but again, the Mughals just getting slapped in the face and sent home. It seems their lack of coordination is going to be hurting here, whilst Russia and Hungary keep their forces together. And it's pretty hard to see that Russian green on Ottoman green, not looking too hot here. But if we switch over to Russia and check this out, yeah, they are no doubt going for their claims around here. We can see the lands that they've taken, securing the forts, even going for that Crimean fort there, just to really secure their hold on the north. Whilst the Mughals and Ottomans, oh well, there are still rather a lot of them, and those Ottomans, they're strong. Let's have a look at just how strong. Those Ottomans boasting 105 discipline, so not too hot. They've only got their Ottoman traditions there. Not sure if they've got Janissary bonuses then. But they've gone for defensive to get that glorious morale bonus. I'd hope to stick my nose into a battle to see how it goes, and I might just get my wish. Here we go. 3-2-3 general versus 4-1 it seems. More than likely a river crossing penalty, but ooh, heavy losses on all sides. And the Russians looking to back that one up, so it depends if the Ottomans can make an early smash on this force. If they can reduce that front line to cinders, then they'll be in with a great chance. But no, they may find themselves enveloped by the vastness of the Russian army. They didn't go full quantity for nothing. I fear this might be a staggering loss for Mr. Nibbles. Now, if we'd get an idea of the numbers here, what are we looking at? 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, fair chunk there, 160k or so. And if we investigate on the Russian side, actually, if they were to pull everything together, seems that the Ottomans have this one. Some well-timed reinforcements ensure that the Russians and the Hungarians are sent packing, all while the Hungarians get to enjoy some uprising. The people of Polotsk see this as their time for liberation. Go, go, our Sunni brethren. Put the filthy Protestant dogs to swords. Or perhaps it will be the Protestants putting the boot into Islam and removing the Ottomans from the region, but I'm just not seeing it. Favor, or fortune favors the aggressor here. Speaking of being aggressive, don't want to drop our eyes on this one here. Don't underestimate that elan. Well, I say that, but it's the Portuguese of all people. They managed to get the relentless drill event, giving them plus 15% morale. That's a lot of morale, I assure you that. But with the British coming in from both sides and the Austrians having left themselves a little defenseless here, this could look a little grim. Burgundy, you need to get yourself down there. Burgundy is force marching his way the length of France to try and help out his comrades here. But that French elan keeping them going. French cannons on the back row. They even still have reserves. During that time, new ruler for you, new heir for you. Scatter! The dogs of war have been let loose. Greykulf, master of battle, is on the field. Techs look to be 15 all around. Go, go, France. Go, go, Burgundy. But don't give up Spain and Portugal. It's not the end for you. One lost battle is not a lost war. Being asked who Bahmanes are at war with. Okay, nothing too big going on there. It's Patani and Pasai, but okay, so the British had to retreat somewhere, so they ran back to their fort over in Poitou, only to be greeted with death. Where to do they run now? And they run their way south. Like I said, it's not the end for these guys. They simply need to collect themselves back up. The Danish have arrived, but the Danish might not be around for that much longer as Burgundy wreaks havoc over in Denmark. Yeah, things looking pretty bad for the British alliance, but not over. So looking at the numbers here, it's 12, 2, and 3. Whereas on the Burgundian-led battle side, 14, 3, 6. And that French elan. It's such an important factor that we're going to check out and see when Portugal's relentless drill ends. Let's see. Or maybe it already has, there's the thing. I think it has. Odd timing there. A relentless drill, a nice event you can get, I believe, if you have defensive. And that really packs a punch. I'm a firm believer in morale, some believe more in discipline. How big is the Mamluks' army? Are they able to backstab the Ottomans? Now would certainly be the time for it, but it seems they have other interests. Yeah, they also probably lack casus belli on them. Aye, they certainly do. And we can have a quick glance. Their diplomats are being pretty lazy, so they're not investing in the opportunity there to backstab the Ottomans. Now, it might seem like a good idea, but assume the Ottomans were to instantly peace out with Hungary and Russia, perhaps just ceding. They would come down and crush the Mamluks, so it's not a sure thing backstabbing in a situation like this. Okay, the Mughals. Hungary will pay loads of money to the Mughals. That's an interesting one. That's a very interesting one. See, the Mughals could come out of this, and I don't think the Ottomans alone could do this. Not that the Mughals have been all that great at everything here. But I don't think the Ottomans could stand up to the combined might of all this. And sure enough, more rebels making life hard for Hungary. So, the situation is looking very much good on the side of those who chose to act first. Being aggressive comes with great advantages. With that in mind, oh my, Lübeck is down, Hamburg is down. It is a bad day to be Denmark. They're now 34. 34 against them. They could probably be forced out of this war. That would free up a lot of the Burgundian army. Remember what I was saying about Burgundian leader Greykulf? 6 in military, all day, every day. Great Britain has not been able to secure themselves any more or greater alliances. Hungary is out of the question. Bohemia is certainly a possibility. It doesn't look like any relations are changing there. In fact, oh me oh my, Bohemia not really fit for any such wars right now. Of course, Prussia remains pretty neutral here as well. They could jump on either side and contribute a fair number of Space Marines to the cause. All the while, Spain is sat on. They're losing that war, not terribly badly, but with this, more of Great Britain comes under occupation. Austria has indicated that they are interested in that Italian land. They are gunning down those forts as best they can. Could bring a few more artillery to it, Daniel. But nonetheless, nobody's really opposing him here, and I doubt the British fleet is about to jump in and save those. Let's get a quick idea of how the nations are doing. Wiz able to hold on to his manpower, and why is that? He does not appear to have all that many mercenaries. He's just been pretty good at banking up his manpower as it is. Yeah, we want to take a look at Spain, also holding on to manpower, and Portugal. Portugal is tapped dry. You run out of manpower, you better hope you have the money for mercenaries. And they've already invested in such mercenaries. Running alright on the finances though, but then they have been procuring all that glorious colonial land. Great Britain running the deficit, not a bad one though. They'll be running less of a deficit as they lose those forts to Burgundy. Austria not at all tapped dry on that manpower, but they have that lovely imperial bonus and their money is just flowing. In fact, in terms of money, oh yeah, the Burgundian alliance has it plentifully. They could probably share it between themselves. All the while, Denmark, oh Denmark. Not looking so hot for you right now. In fact, Sweden could probably jump in and make your life miserable. But I rather think Denmark will not be a big player in this war for too much longer. They do have a fair number of troops here, enough to sway a battle at any point. But for how much longer can they remain in this? Because the longer the Spanish, Portuguese and British forces just chill out down in Andalusia, the longer they enjoy the war exhaustion. The longer they enjoy losing this war, and the more likely they can be forced out of this war through stab-hitting peace offers. Speaking of getting stabbed, Hungary not looking so hot. They're only at war with the Ottomans now, so if ever they wanted to counter, now would be the time, but they have lost dearly. Not that Mr. Nibble's manpower is looking too great. Hungary is tapped completely dry. And Grugi also not looking so hot, also having loans. Oh, that pains me to see.